one way that we can achieve strong consistency is using a technique like locking. Now, as we mentioned, locking introduces overhead in the form of contention, and that has a cost associated with it. We want to try to understand that cost a little bit better, and we're going to do that through another discussion. In this discussion, we have Martin and Grace once again. Martin and Grace are both software developers that are collaborating on some code. Turns out, in addition to being lumberjacks in a former life, they're actually currently software developers. So Martin and Grace are going to collaborate on that code, and for whatever reason, we've decided that we need this to be strongly consistent. That's important to us for some reason. Now, in order to maintain the strong consistency, Martin is going to lock the code. He's going to leverage a lock in order to ensure that we can remain strongly consistent. Now, remember, strong consistency in this case requires that Martin and Grace both have the exact same view of the code at all times. If you ask Martin a question about the code or you ask Grace a question about the code, they should both be able to give us the same answer. That's our definition for strong consistency. So the question is, how will the need for strong consistency affect Grace's workflow if she also wants to edit the code or change the code in some way? What will Grace be allowed to do and what won't she be allowed to do? Will she be allowed to modify the code? Will she be allowed to read the code? Will she be allowed to make changes to code that relies on that code? Where do her limits lie? The other question that we want to ask is, how do source control tools actually achieve consistency? Modern source control tools typically don't use locks, they use other techniques. So we want to talk about what those techniques are. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at those questions. Again, take some time to think about it. Talk about it with other people if you want to. And then we're going to regroup and talk about this.